Um, Good morning. Let's see, I have to click one more thing. Thank you for showing up today. We have a huge group on the Zoom right now, 150 people or so. So we are here to basically, again, hopefully exchange information. We would have some quick updates, and the rest of the time is your time to hopefully ask us questions and see how we can help each other understand where we are going, and so on and so forth. Still, the campus obviously is not fully open. We know most of our team are working from home. I am so proud of our members of sponsored programs that in this harsh time, they have been doing great. And I know that the same type of thing is happening on campus. Our colleagues in departments are facing the same type of challenges. And meanwhile, everybody has been doing probably more than what we all should be doing. And we are serving the campus. The volume of our award this past year was higher than last year. Last year was a record, and now we are going to have another record. The official numbers hopefully would come out soon, but we are knocking on the door of 1 billion now. We are very close. We are within like 30 million or so, 40 million at the most. So that's where we are. Let's see, on the agenda that I have in front of me, we have updates from, as usual, from proposal, from awards, and from our colleagues in contracts and grants accounting. How about if we start on the proposal side? Kelly, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I just have one quick announcement for everybody. Due to the new negotiated indirect cost rate agreement, it's conceivable that up to 4 indirect cost rates may apply per project. So when entering the summary budget into Cayuse SP, it's acceptable to simply enter the first and last indirect cost percentage rates in the F&A rates field. And then in the budget categories field, you can go ahead and uncheck the use calculated values box next to the indirect cost fields, and then manually enter the indirect cost dollar totals. And I have a graphic for you that I'm going to go ahead and share right now, just to kind of give you a visualization of what we mean. So this is actually a screenshot that we took from a proposal budget page in Cayuse SP. So under the F&A rates field right here, you can go ahead and just manually enter the first and last in these boxes. And then down here in the budget categories field, where it says use calculated values, uncheck that box and then manually enter the totals right here. So we just wanted to make everybody aware of that. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us at proposals@ucdavis.edu.
Okay. I know that can be confusing in depending on the budget, but I think that's the simplest way we can record what we have, let's say, in a 5-year budget or 4-year budget. Any questions on that for Kelly or anybody else here? Well, I don't see any questions in the chat either. So I guess all of us understood what it is that we have to do on the budget. Today, it seems like most of the discussions are going to deal with the new F&A and the confusions that might be associated with that. Grace, do you want to talk about the new rates, and then I'll say what the transition seems like at this point?
Sure. And somebody asked a question in the chat about the budgets, but somebody can answer that while
Our budget templates have been updated with the new rates. So that shouldn't be a problem in the Excel spreadsheets.
Okay, great. So I have the new rates up on the screen right now, just so everybody knows what they are. So these are effective June 28th. So for all awards with a project start date of June 28th or after, these are the provisional rate, these are the new rates that apply. So as you can see, for the first year, so through June 30th of 2022, we remain at the provisional rates as 57% MTDC for organized research and 39% for other sponsored activities. Instruction stays the same. And then starting from July 1st, 2022, the indirect cost rates start to escalate. Okay, 59.5, and then up to 60%, up to 61%. Okay, so those are the escalating rates. Now, for your projects that only last 1 year, this is not going to affect you because you're still within the same rates as the provisional rate. If you have a multi-year project, then the rate escalation will apply. Okay, and I will let Ahmed discuss all of that. I will put this link in the chat below. It's up on the SPO website. Okay, so our new NICRA is up on the SPO website.
Thank you, Grace. As Grace talked about it, we all know the rates are going up, but for the year we are in through end of June of 2022, the rate still is at 57%. So I think this is the fourth year that we have 57%. This was a unique transition from old rate to new rate. Typically, the provisional rate is there for a year or maybe two. This time it was for 4 years because everything got delayed last year. So we are where we are. Now, regarding the transition, I think in the last forum, somebody asked the question, how the new rates would come in. And I said that that's a very complex issue to deal with. And I still am going to tell you the same thing. The complexity has to do with the way the federal regulations tell the sponsors what their rights are in allowing the increase in indirect, and also in the same time, they tell the university what the university's right is in collecting. So the way this works is that the important date to look at is the start date of the award. It is not when you applied for the award. It's not when the sponsor said, yeah, you are going to get an award. It's really the date of the new award. So the important date there is to compare the start date with the date of the new F&A rate agreement. You know that the date of the new agreement, F&A rate agreement, is June 28, 2021. So any award which came in before June 28, all the way to June 27th of 21, is subject to the rates we had in place, which means it is subject to 57%. For example, if you get a 5-year award from a sponsor and the start date of it is June 27th, for all of the 5 years, the award is going to be subject to 57%. That part is easy. If the start date is 1 day later, on June 28, the new rates would come in. So we have to look at the table that Grace talked about and ask the question, what is the applicable rate for each year of the award? The first year of it is easy. Through June 22nd, through end of June of 2022, the rate would be 57. That's easy. After that, it keeps going up. So again, I'm going to repeat it. If the award started on the start date of the award is June 28 or after, we have to use the new rate. The problem comes in that obviously an award which came in on June 28 or June 29 is based on the proposal which was sent to a sponsor maybe 3, 4, 5 months before that. All we had available was 57%. That's what is in proposal. But that's not controlling. The university is authorized to apply the new rates, like in 2 years, it would be 59 and so on and so forth. And the question is, who is going to have that money available to pay for the indirect? Some sponsors may allow us and give us more money. Some might not. So a lot of discussion is going on the campus. Every time we go through this transition, the campus leadership have to decide how to deal with that potential shortfall. Whether the campus leadership would decide to hit the new awards with the new F&A, which means that the PI has to rebudget, take something out of the direct and put it in direct, unless if the sponsor is willing to give us more money. Those decisions have not been completely made. So between James and I, James from accounting and I from sponsored programs, at this point, we are not able to tell you exactly how the leadership of the campus is going to deal with that issue. James, do you want to say anything about that from your point of view?
Good morning. I think you summarized the situation. I think we're just looking for to make sure that everybody's on the same page with how we will approach it this time. It's like you said, Ahmad, it's always a sticky situation to work through. So hopefully we find a good resolution that's good for the most part.
Okay, so again, it's not in my control, it's not in James' control. Both of us have been here long enough time. I have gone through several of these transitions. I cannot tell you that every transition has been the same. I think I have gone through 5 of those every 4 years or something. So, each time the campus leadership has made a different decision. I don't know what the decision is this time. Last time, the provost had some extra money and they came up with a very elaborate system that James, his boss, and I were a part of a committee that we had to look at every single award which was affected, and then the provost would make a decision if they wanted to financially assist the specific award. Because the decision came down that the campus was going to recover full indirect. So we don't know what they are going to do this time. And again, unfortunately, I would try to answer questions, and I'm sure James would try to do that. But the simple answer is that we do not know what the leadership is going to do this time. So I see some questions coming in. It says, when do you expect to have clarity? I think I apologize. I am trying to be as clear as I can be. I cannot be any more. I don't know. It's just I know James in their team in costing policy analysis, they are working on it. We are working with them. And the answer to that question is we don't know it yet, but we are working on it. And as soon as we have it, we would send some messages out. So that was the first question. And there's another question. It says, when you say campus leadership, who do you mean? Campus leadership is composed of the provost and the chancellor, basically. And I suppose in that discussion, the vice chancellor for research might be invited to participate, but the decisions on the money issues are typically in the hands of the provost, from what I know. James, what do you say to that?
I mean, yeah, that is the campus leadership. It's a matter of having the right level of authority to make this decision. To what we're talking about is effectively waiving indirects that we are technically eligible to recover, but for local reasons, not necessarily doing that in every case.
Yeah, again, I'm sorry for this, but this is the confusion which is caused at the federal level. They tell the sponsors that they are able to not give us the full indirect, and they tell university that university is unable to recover full indirect. So, people at much higher salary level have to make a decision how they are going to run it. And once they have that decision, they would tell us and we would enforce it. That's all I can tell you. I'm sorry, I don't have anything more than that. I suppose if I don't know, maybe the deans can have some say to, it's not, again, as far as I know, it's not the dean's decision. It's really the provost and the chancellor, but they might be able to ask the question from the leadership, how they want to do it. At this point, we don't have that answer yet. So this is the most frustrating discussion that I typically have in these sessions because the facts are as they are. So let's see. The next, I think, James, do you have any updates?
I do, and it has nothing to do with indirects.
Oh, that's the first. Yeah, just for the last 3 years, we have been asking, what's the update on indirect? And here we are.
Yeah, well, actually, what I wanted to do is just share. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to share with you all some changes that we've made in the CGA org structure. We've rearranged and added a couple of positions, and I'm going to share our recently updated org chart. It was updated on 7/22, but for some reason I don't understand. All of the lines that connect the boxes are gone, but when I share it, I think we can see the way that they're grouped, and you'll see how it works. Let me click my share. All right, so hopefully you've got an org chart on your screen. And so I want to make a couple of introductions along the way. So on the left side of our house, if you will, we have the fund management teams. We are really excited to have added a third supervisor over here. Jenny Scales joined us a couple weeks ago. And Jenny, if you're on the line, would you like to just chime in and say hello?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny. And, just to give you a little bit about myself, the bulk of my career has been spent in government and nonprofit. Most recently, I come from Barton Healthcare Systems in South Lake Tahoe. So I have a lot of grant experience when I worked for the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency as their grants coordinator and then also as their controller. So hopefully I bring a lot to the team, and I'm excited to work with everyone.
We're really thrilled to have her on board. And you can see that we have rearranged the assignments under the different supervisors. We're letting Jenny start with a relatively small group, but we'll scale her up as we get there. The other thing that I want to point out on the left side of the house is Francisco Andrade, who is our associate director for fund management, is a go-to for a lot of you. And because he's great and he knows it, pretty much everything and how to get things done. But I need to let everyone know that Francisco has, I have redirected his time predominantly to the Aggie Enterprise Initiative. He is taking the lead for our group to make sure that once we get into that system, we have something that's going to work really well for everyone, and we're going to have processes and everything in place. Therefore, he does not have time that he used to have to respond to lots and lots of requests and inquiries from campus. So what I'd like to ask you all is if you could direct your initial inquiry to one of the supervisors that, if it's for a particular award, figure out, who's the analyst for that, and then go to the supervisor related to that if it needs to be at the supervisor level. I mean, your first shot really should be with the analyst if it's specific to an award. If it's something that's not to a specific award, but it's more cross-cutting, then one of our supervisors should be able to help. If not, they'll escalate it to me. In rare occasions, we will, try to loop Francisco in if there's some specialized knowledge that he has that we aren't quite remembering what's happening. So that's the left side of the house. And then on the right side of the house, where the lines are even a little bit, would be even more helpful had they been here, but we recently promoted Mario to the Associate Director over Cash and Compliance. And I think, Mario, you're on the line. Do you want to just say hello?
Hi, everyone. I've worked with a lot of you before. I've been with the university now 8 years. And prior to that, I worked in institutional banking for about 14 years prior to that. So I'm excited to help support the overall contracts and grants accounting. And as James mentioned, as Francisco is busy on Aggie Enterprise and helping James with anything that's needed in that space, as well as building up the cash and compliance teams and helping support Deborah in the compliance world, and then building up the cash team as well with new leadership.
Yeah. So again, it's really great that Mario is able to take this new role, and as he gets up to speed, and as we backfill his old cash team supervisor position, we should be approaching full strength, and we're also in the process of filling the vacant compliance analyst position, which then brings me to the only other thing that I do want to touch on. Let's see, I want to make sure no comments are popping up. Is we are honestly, truly, I promise, getting close to being able to release our effort reports. We had a huge problem with a bunch of missing lines of data that has been delivered. It's like at maybe 99% complete. So there's still some stuff that we're working through. Deborah and a couple analysts have been reviewing the data to get a comfort level that we're good to go. So I'm not promising any specific dates, but I'll say sometime in August, this will finally be released to you all. Again, we will be providing some information and guidance about things to be on the lookout for. We're going to give the effort coordinators a little bit larger window before, so we'll release them the reports and let the coordinators know the reports are out there, and give you a little bit more time than we have in the past, just so that you can drill in and kind of double check some areas where we think we still might have some data issues, basically. And then we'll go ahead and release them out to faculty. It's going to be, quite an interesting effort reporting, certification period, because we will be asking people to reflect back on what happened from way back in the past, almost 2 years ago. So that will be fun. We look forward to getting through this, though, and we have a lot of improvements that we've seen on the UC Path side. There's a team that's been working on it. Mario and Deborah and I met with that team either yesterday or Monday, and again, we're able to see what they are doing to prevent another cycle where we're kind of dead in the water. So that's what I wanted to share, and I don't know if there are any questions that have come in. Let's see. Diane, you asked a very good question. How do you certify effort from 2 years ago if PI is gone? We're going to be providing that guidance. It'll have to be done by somebody that has some basis to make that determination. Could be just reviewing the payroll records, but that's the real challenge. You know, I don't know if it's any comfort, but well, I take some comfort in the fact that it's not just the Davis campus that has been facing this problem. It's really across the system, and some of the campuses, you know, we're even further behind time-wise than we were, and they've started, because they do like quarterly reporting, they've started chipping away at it. So we also might reach out to them to get some guidance on how they tried to tackle that question. But that's a very challenging issue there. Okay. Oh, goodness. And Lenora put a comment in there that I should have said as well when I was asking that folks not direct questions directly to Francisco as much as perhaps in the past. If you use our EFA at UC Davis email, that's really a great way, because all three supervisors are looking at that, and so they can see that request and get somebody on it to address it or do it themselves. Thank you, Lenora. Okay, I don't see any more comments coming in. Chat's coming in.
Okay. Thank you, James. You want to stop the screen sharing?
Yes. I will do that stuff.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. I don't see any questions. Let me give you a little bit now, since we talk about indirect so much. I just remember one thing I want to tell you. I don't know if it is positive or not. The awards which are from NSF, I think they know. I mean, we know that NSF has a rule now. It wasn't there, I believe, 5-6 years ago when we went through the last transition. But there's some positive things there in awards from NSF. Specifically, awards from NSF, if they were approved at 57%, NSF has already put us on notice that they are not going to allow recovery of higher indirect, and they are not going to give us extra money to do that. So based on that, what I understand that James and I were talking about this, we are trying to see if the campus leadership would allow us, for NSF at least, to have a process in place which says that the rate would continue at 57. So that might make it easy for a big chunk of the campus that's receiving NSF awards. So other than that, for the other agencies, the other agencies don't have, to the best of our knowledge, such a rule that says that they would not give extra money. So we don't know what would happen with the others. But with NSF, it seems like we might be able to continue the indirect of 57 if that's what it came in with. The award came in with. Okay. So anything else? I don't see any new questions or comments in the chat. It's your time to see what else you would like to talk about. Well, seems like nothing is coming in. If nothing is coming in, I don't know if any other part of Office of Research has any updates that want to share. I know things are going really well in the IRB under leadership of John. Things are just perfect. Hi, John. And the compliance, I don't see anybody from our compliance. Maybe Craig is on, but I don't know if there's any update from there. Okay, so somebody is asked, John is asking if there's any updates on the out-of-state employees. I mean, I wouldn't be, again, you have to look at the salary level of the person who is talking. You just know that is from much higher authorities on campus. I am not aware of any decisions on that.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So at this point, I know that, we have been sharing with our leadership, with our vice chancellor, the fact that lots of universities are allowing their employees to work completely off-site from anywhere. And up to this point, I am not aware of any decisions that has been made here. The only decision I know, they have been telling us that at this point they are not allowing employment from basically outside the area or whatever that means, because the campus wants to be able to call people in when they want to call us in. Okay. There's a question in the chat. It says, any updates on ERS? I am not sure what ERS is. Is it?
As I just explained, the ERS, the effort reports will be issued, I really hope, within the month of August. We will send out communications with explanations and how the process should work this year.
Okay. I think, well, I don't see anything else here. So if you don't have any other questions, we can stop the meeting and we would go back and serve the campus we serve. See you next month. Thank you very much for showing up today.